Welcome to Yeshiva Daf Shir sponsor Lui Nishmas Arbi Akashon Leah Basitzchok. We're holding Metzia Daf Lamed Vov. We're starting in Lamed Heyim with base in the bottom. As a preview to the following few lines of the Gemara we're going to learn, we have when a person comes and does a Shvuah L'Sheker. Someone lies about something that he guarded, mainly a Shomer. We learned in the end of Metzia Bava Kama the idea of Shvuah Shomer. Shvuah Shomer is someone comes. The owner comes to the Shem and says, "Where's my item?" He says, "I don't have it." He lies about it. He does a shvuah. What does he have to bring for the shvuah? So as we learned, we mentioned in the Metzia Bava Kama, he has to pay it back. He has to add a chaimish, which is a fine of 25% above what he stole. Plus, he has to bring a korban. Which korban? Korban osham. Korban osham is special. It's unique for someone who's nishba l'sheker as a shomer. And as we're going to learn in the Gemara right now, and he benefited from the shvuah. This is the key line. Because he did the shvuah, because he lied, so that's why he gained something from that lie. So for that, he gets then in that case, he's going to have to bring a korban osham. If he did not gain anything, the shvuah did not benefit him in any way. So it's just a regular shvuah shav. And a regular shvuah shav, we have another din, that someone who's nishba l'sheker, he needs to bring a korban chatos. He lied. He has to be a korban chatos for lying. Korban chatos comes from a regular shvuah. Korban osham comes from a shvuah of a shomer who benefited by doing that shvuah. So that's what the Gemara is going to say right now. This is really the cloud we're going to need for the next half of Amud of the Gemara. Says the Gemara. Omer Yeviyah. Pe'amim sheshneim bechatos. What shneim? The case of our Mishnah. Soiche par mechaver v'ishtilu le'acher. You have a renter, and the renter is lending, meaning allowing someone to use that account. So you have a soicher and you have a shoyer. So with two different shoyers. Says the Gemara, sometimes both of them will bring a korban chatos and not a korban osham. Says the Gemara that Lamevon with Aleph, Pamim shtishtem be'osham. Sometimes they'll bring a korban osham. Pamim shasoicher bechatos ve'ashoyer be'osham. Sometimes the soicher brings a chatos and the shoyer brings an osham. Pamim shasoicher be'osham ve'ashoyer bechatos. Sometimes will be the opposite. How? Again, using the rule we just said. If there's any benefit that happens from the shvuah, it's a korban osham. If there's no benefit that happens from the shvuah, it's a korban chatos. So the Gemara goes on to explain. Hakeitzad. Kfiras momoim osham. By denying money, avoiding paying, you're paying osham. Bitus fasayim, just lying with your lips, chatos. Pe'amim sheshneim bechatos, what's the case? Kegon shemeiso kedarko. Talk about an animal that died naturally, normally. V'omru nenso. And they said it was nanos. We say it didn't die normally. It was nanos. What happens nanos? It was not our fault. Something happened that it was stolen or it was robbed or whatever happened. Soicher de benkach u benkach miftar. The soicher, he says was nanos. I said robbed, I mean listed museum, right? Meaning he was soicher, the renter, if it was stolen from him. If it was nanas, not stolen, or stolen in a way of oinus, something which is completely not his fault, so then he's potter. Now, if he said the truth and he didn't want to lie, just said it died naturally, he's also potter. So in both cases, regardless if he does the shvuah or does not do the shvuah, if he says the truth or he lies, he's potter. The shvuah does not benefit him in any way. So therefore, benku benkar mifta, in both cases, he's going to be potter. Therefore, he's potter. Mifta Pad is potter, therefore bechatos means a korban chatos for lying. If he didn't shvuah l'sheker, he didn't benefit anything from the shvuah. Shoyel the benkel benka chiyuv v'mechayev. Shoyel is chayev. Shoyel, if an animal died under the watch of a shoyel, kedarko, he has to pay for it. If this animal was nanas, wasn't his fault, and it got lost or stolen or whatever, he has to pay. Shoyel always has to pay. So the shvuah didn't do anything. He changed it from one case to another case. In both cases, chayev. So therefore, bechatos has to bring a korban chatos for lying, even though he didn't benefit from it. Sometimes there will be a case that both shoyim will lie, and that lie will benefit them, and therefore, when you find them out their lie, they have to bring a korban osham. Kegon shin nignevo, got lost. Both cases are soicher schayr for nignevo. Why? Because we treat a soicher like a shomer socher, as Toys points out over here. Our sugi learns that a soicher, a renter, has a din of a shomer socher who's chayav in a regular gneva of aveda. And a shomer is obviously chayav in gneva of aveda as well. They said it died while working. So a soicher for sure is potter. Any natural death is potter. it's oinus. Even a shoyl was chayav and everything, there's one case that we saw earlier is potter. Which case is a shoyl potter? Meso machmas aloch, if it died from work. So then, we saw, the Tosfos says it earlier, the reason is, because what do you want to do? I borrowed it for what? Just to let it sit down and not work? So if it died from work, then I don't have to pay. Tire value, kakaf from the money. They both are trying to achieve something through the shul. They are nishba, the animal meis machmas malachos, so both are potter. Says the more the kakaf from the money, in both cases they'll be chayav, the kapach of shayav, they point to themselves. So that's the case. Therefore, they both have to be korban oshim. In this case, when they're saying meis machmas malach, they both through that shul become potter. So their shul helps them to get away from paying. If it's getting away from paying, you have to be korban oshim. What is that case? Died naturally. So Ashel is chayav, and the seicha is potter. For the seicha doesn't benefit from the shvuas anyway, potter. And the shoyl is the one who's benefiting. So therefore, seicha the benku benkach mifta potter. In any ways, potter both claims chayav bechatos for lying, but not for gaining anything. Shoyl de mechayev, he is chayav normally. B'meisa kedarko. V'kapotter nafshei b'meisa machas melacha. But he's causing himself to be potter because meisa machas melacha. The din is be'osham. That's why he pays korban osham for gaining through the shul. Says the Gemara, soicher b'osham v'shol b'chatos. This will be the case that the renters b'osham and the shol is the chatos. Current shenignevo got stolen. That a soicher is chayav and a shol is chayav. V'amu meisa kedarko. They said die naturally. Who gains from that? The shol is not gaining anyway, has to pay if it died naturally. Soicher is potter that way. Soicher the mechayev b'gneva veido. He was supposed to be chayav v'kapotem shiva meisa kedarko, and by saying it died naturally, it becomes potter b'osham. That's why he's gaining. He pays osham. Shoyel the benku benka chiyuv mechayev. Sure, that anyway is chayav b'chatos. So that is all the different cases that we have when there's someone gaining, when there's someone not gaining. It says like more my kamashon. What's a chiddush? Explains Rashi what specifically was bothering the Gemara. It says Rashi, look at Mishnah Shavuos. You have all Mishnahs about these cases. Someone who's chayav anyway, and by doing Shavuos is chayav again. From being potter is changed to be potter. He didn't change anything. Or he's potter and by his Shavuos making himself chayav, which that's pretty foolish to do. Potter b'osham. B'osham zelos. And only if you're going from being obligated to not being obligated is chayav. That's the comes up from the Mishnah and Masechet Shavuos. So why? What is the chiddush over here? It says more than fukim midavami. The chiddush over here is the following: to come. The only idea, the only new thing we learned over here is to come and exclude, to come out against Avami. There's no chiyuv osham when the shul comes from by dayanim. It says when a nefesh does a shul, kitishova me'atzmo. So Ravami says the only time you have osham is only when it comes on your own, not when it comes through dayanim. Here, even though it was nishba by dayanim, Pezim made him do a shul, he's still going to be chayav osham if the shul benefited him. That's the chiddush that we learn over here. Says the Gemara, Itvar. Shomer shemosh mosel l'shemer. You have a shemer. We learned this, where we mentioned already Bava Kama, this idea of shemer shemosh l'shemer. Now the Gemara is going to go into the details. Shemer shemosh l'shemer. You have a shemer who gave, he was responsible to be a shemer, and he decided to transfer his obligation to somebody else. Rabbi Mapoter B'Yechon Marchayev. Machlis is Rabbi B'Yechon. So Rav says Poter B'Yechon is Chayev. What about it? Alma the time of the Rav, according to Rav, not only when a Shem Echinum gave it to Shem Esachar to make a better Shemir, Shem Echinum was guarding for free. Shem Esachar is being paid. So Shem Esachar is being paid is more responsible for the item. So said the Shem Echinum to the owner, look what I did for you. I was a regular Shemer, I wasn't so careful because the name of Aved Potter anyway. I just have to be careful not to be negligent. I give it to a better Shemer. So then maybe that would be the reason why you Potter. Says Abaye, even if he didn't make it elevated, they regard the Shmir also. Even if someone who, he was a Shem Sacher and he hired a Shem Echino. Shem Echino was not as responsible as Shem Sacher, still Potter. My time is the Moshe ben Das. He give it to ben Das. I mean, according to the way Abaye learns the Shita of Rav is, yes, there is more responsibility in Shem Sachar than Shem Echino. But at the end of the day, the one who is responsible is a ben Das, someone who has seichel. The guarding is, you have the minimum guarding, they call the minimum insurance, and that's what you need. You can have a better shmir because one person wants to be more careful. That's true, but as long as I give it to a ben Das, even though maybe there's some parts of shmir that I don't have, and this is the first we discussed, will the Shem Sachar be responsible for the Gneva Veda of Abbot Shem Echinum? The answer is Pashas for sure, yes. He says, don't worry, Gneva Veda taking care of it. You're saying, but this guy's less responsible. What less responsible is a ben Das? Ben Das guards the best he can. So the time of the Rabbi Yochanan, according to Rabbi Yochanan, holds differently. Not only when a Shem Sachar gives the Shem Echino, that he lowers the level of the Shmira, that is Chayav, even if he elevated the level of Shmira. He was a Shem Echino, he gave the Shem Sachar, the Iluya, the Shmira, so he made the Shmira better. Chayav. Why? The svara of Rabbi Yochanan is, I never want my item to be by somebody else. I give it to you, you're my shomer, and I don't want anybody else to take care of it. So this was against the shmira that we are responsible for. So he's chayav to pay him, even if it was a oinus, even if it was something that the boat potter. He says, I did not allow you to give to somebody else. Olav Chizdo had the Rav, lav befiu shitmar ela michlal. Says this whole story the Rav says that your potter is not meferish. The Rav said it. It's coming from a story. There are no ginoy de kol yoimo have mefagdim marayu gabo dai safto. There was these shepherds that every day they put their item by this old lady. One day they put it by one of them. He was the shemer, one of these shepherds. Shama Kolabelu, he heard there was a big wedding in town. He wanted to go to the wedding, wanted to go to the party. Nafak Azal, he left out. He went and gave it to this grandmother. Till when he came back, Ignu Marai. So the items that he gave, the Marai, which is the axe that they used, was stolen. Also made the Rav, went in front of Rabbi Patrick. He said, "You Patrick." The shemer, the shepherd who gave to the grandmother. Man the Chazal, one who saw it, saw that Mishum Shemish was the shemer Patrick. You see, shemer must the shemer Patrick. They gave it to him. They gave it to somebody else. Veloy, that's not the reason. Shani also the Kolyoim and Nama Inu Gufayu Gabo de Yisavtu Avkate. They always deposited by her. The Mefkadulo. They umigaladas. Really, the grandmother is a great shemer. Happened to be this day the grandmother wasn't available. Whatever the reason was, they gave it to the shepherd. But because everybody knows they usually give to the grandmother, that's why the grandmother is a good shemer, and that's why that's different in our case in a regular shemer to shemer. No, right? The Gemara wants to say that even the fact that we're saying the Rav says shemer shemas l'shemer butter, the fact the Rav said is not so clear the way he really said. Now, right, just to mention, we're speaking of Shemer Shemas L'Shemer, we have the discussion of the Achronim. When Shemer Shemas L'Shemer, do we say that the first Shemer stopped being a Shemer? Or is continued to being a Shemer and just is giving it to another Shemer? Is the new Shemer taking over the first Shemer or is not? That's part of the discussion in the Achronim, Shemer Shemas L'Shemer. Okay, so he says the Gemara, Yosef Rabbi called the Lashmaitze. Rabbi is saying this sugya. As Rabbi asked the question, look at our Mishnah. Someone rented a cow from his friend and he lent it to somebody else. And it died naturally. The Soicha says, okay, I'll bring you a shvur that it died naturally, I'm potter. And the Shoyl pays the Soicha. If you hold that Shem is a problem, you're chayav right away. So what do you mean? I didn't let you give it to somebody else and you're Peshiah by giving it to somebody else. The way Tiz explains it is as if he said clearly, I don't want you to give it to somebody else. If you give it to somebody else, you are responsible for everything. As if you're Peshiah. So I don't want it to be with somebody else. Here the owner says you could give it to somebody else. So the owner is the one who's giving the instructions. He said, pass it on to somebody else. So for sure, let's take what the Achronim discussed. It's not the first shemer you give to another shemer. It's really taking out from one shemer, and now the second shemer is the shemer of the owner. It says the Gemara, they didn't say, we don't care. You can keep it. If you want to give somebody else, give somebody else. It's under your responsibility. So when asked the question, someone gave money to his friend. He put it into a bundle, put it in his bag. Or we give it to young children. Or he locked it up in an improper way. The discussion if it's oinol or venol, is the nol talk about the kids or nol is this talk about the money? The din is chayav shloshom kedei Hashem. He's chayav because he didn't guard it the normal way of guarding. Time with the ketani because he gave it to his young children. Hagidolim if he gave it to his older children. Potter. Why? In my name, you said that the Shem give it to another Shem, it doesn't work. So you have the same problem. So don't give it to somebody else. So the more on the Rav answers, Ravo, Kola Mafkid, when da from Vod base, Al Das Ishtoy Ubonov Umafkid. Here, this is the basic rule. When you give a Shem to guard, the Da says it's not only him, it's his family too. Sometimes you have to leave. His son will take care of it if he's an older kid. So therefore, that's why when he's giving it to his own children, this is okay if they're gdorim. Is very meduyuk. He gave it to his young children. Because his children, there's a difference between children that are young or old. But others, the fathers, it doesn't matter if they're gdorim, always chayav. Why? Because if not so, why didn't you just say he gave it to Ktanim? It's a problem. Gedolim not. Only one of a Ktanim is the difference between Ktanim and Gedolim. But others will be no difference. Shvamino. That's how the more answered according to this question. Rabba said, I hold, like Rabbi Yechanan, not only if he gave it to a less of a shemir, which is less responsible. Even if he elevated the shemir is chayav. My time, now Rabbi brings a new reason. Not like Abaye. Abaye explained the reason is, I don't want my pikon to be by somebody else. Rabbi says difference is differently. Why? I don't trust the other one for sure. You're a trustworthy guy. I know you. So I'm going to give it to you. I know there's a risk something will happen to it. But I'm assuming that you will do everything to protect it. And if, in worst case scenario, you will do a shvur to swear that you did do everything possible. So you give it to that guy. I don't know if that guy took care of it in the most responsible way. Shvur, I don't trust him. So that's why I don't want to give it to somebody else because I can't come and mechayv a shvur to somebody else. So therefore, what's nafkamina? As we'll see in the Gemara later, Teish points out right away. Nafkamina is, let's say the first guy will do the shvur himself. That's the guy, the first guy says, I'm giving somebody else, but don't worry, I will do the shvur. I will know what happens over there, and I'll do the shvur. If the first one could do the shvur, then there's no problem to pass somebody else. There's no issue being ritzoyin aim she'ep yudem yadacher. Problem is, I need a shvur. As long as I have a shvur, you're good enough. Says the Gemara, says the Gemara like this. Right? So he didn't take care of it. Pshia went out and died naturally. Right? And it did not die because of the Pshia. It just went out and died from old age, let's say that way. Abaye Mishmei de Rov Abba Machai. Abaye says you're Chayav. Rov Mishmei de Rabba or Potri. Rabba says the both in the name of Rabba is Potri. Abaye Mishmei de Rabba Machai called Dayona do like dying ki I die no love Dayona. Interesting lashon. Any dye that doesn't do this way is not a real dye. Why? We're going to learn later in the Masechta. We did it already in Sachas Bava Kama a little bit. What does it mean? Someone who is starting his shmira, he did something wrong. He did a pshia. And afterwards, something happened on completely rebelliousness. It wasn't his fault when it happened. The thing is that what? That the thing is this machlekes. So even according to Mandam that says Tchilas of Shia v'Sei B'Oinis is Chayav, right? It's of course you Chayav over here. took it out. The pshia was you let it go out, pshia. Then it died naturally, which is oinus. And I feel even though usually still the potter my time here you say, you know what killed it? It wasn't old age. It was the air of the valley. He went out, he had this fresh air, it hit his lungs in a bad way, and it killed it. I'm assuming the reason it died because it went out. That's a pshia. It's not just an oinus, then there's nothing you can do about it. What did he say? He says he's potter. And again, the very funny lashon that we have over here. Kol dayona dolo dying ki aidino lav deona. And he dying doesn't do this way, he's not dying. Not according to Mandoma that says that you're potter when you start with pshio and end goyness. And the potter. Here's, even if he holds chayav, here's potter. Why? My time. So if it died from natural age, what happened? The Malachamavis took it. So he took it over here, took it over there, he took it away. Nothing to do with my pshia. Tosis proves from here that chalas of pshia seibanis, the definition of chalas of pshia seibanis means that the oinus happened because of the pshia. Meaning someone was pshia, and he allowed the animal to go to some place which is dangerous, and then she died because of something which is completely out of his control. But if he wouldn't go to that place, he would have died. That's chalas of pshia seibanis. How do we see it? Because the Gemara says over here, this is, what do you mean? At the end of the day, it's chalas of pshia of seibanis. You start with pshia, then it died bonus. No, it's not going to be dying bonus because it is not related to pshia at all. But the taina is, says Rava, that her time of death came whenever the time of death comes. Whenever she's supposed to die, that's when she died. That's not considered to be chalas of pshia of bonus. So therefore, here you put it. Here we have it in the Shur Machshava a little bit more, just to point out that there's a Ramon Shapiro that says a story that once was a chashav gadol. Chashav not God, chashav a person, people that thought he was chashav. That someone asked him, is the Malachamavis by animals or not? Ramon Shapiro was a young bocher, and he says, what do you mean? Malachamavis Maliyachim Aliyasa. Clearly in our Gemara, the Malachamavis does kill animals, and she doesn't die different ways. Lamaisa, in the Shur Machshava, we bring it that the Kliyakar says clearly there's no Malachamavis by animals. And according to that, I have to say the Malachamavis here is lav davka. It means the way she died. Okay, something to think about. Says the Gemara, Abaye says, if it went back, it let it go out, and it came back home, and then it died. But my time at the Hadrula. It went back to the owner. Now, what do you want to do? Right, it was pshia, but the pshia, nothing happened through that pshia. It came back home. You don't say the air of the valley killed it because it died. It didn't die in the Agam. If it died, if it was stolen in the valley, it didn't die naturally. My time. Because what would happen if the Malachamavis would not kill it? It would be in the house of the Gan. So in other words, as the first explaining, once the Gan took it, the Rishon is responsible. He's responsible for Gnei V'Aveidu when he's negligent. Right now he's negligent, let it go out, and it got stolen. Now he's chayav. Now he died afterwards. It doesn't matter. The death here doesn't point to him going forward. According to you that you say, Svara, anyway, he died. Going back to Amud Aleph. Amud Aleph, the more asked, right, we said, Shemesh Shemasal Shemer is chayav. So well, what about our Mishnah? It's really in Amud Aleph. In our Mishnah, we said that a soichel gave to a shayel is pater. Why is it pater? Shemesh Shemasal Shemer chayav. So he says, no, the owner gave him permission. He says, well, why? According to your svara of the name of if we have over here, that's the case in our Mishnah. That normally. So he said, yeah, Shemesh Shemasal Shemer. Even if you want to tell me now, I'll give to another Shemer. The owner doesn't let me. So it's as if I give it, allowed to go out to the valley. I'm Peshia. But it didn't die because of my Peshia. It died naturally. You hold, Rava, that when an animal dies naturally, it's not my fault. So why we have to come to say because the owner gave permission? Says the Gemara, says this whole question was not really a question, says Rava, according to me. What was your svara by? Your svara was why you hold according to Rabbi Yochanan that Shemer cannot give a Shemer. Because the svara was I don't want someone else to have my pikod. Very nice. So then he asked, if Ein If that's true, if that's the MS, if that's correct, so why when a seicha gives to a shoyel he's potter? You have to say because no one gave permission. What did the Rava say? What was that difference for? It says at me'emet b'shvur v'zil me'emet b'shvur. It's because of shvur. The problem was the shvur. Here the seicha will do shvur. The animal will die naturally. So what will the seicha do a shvur? The shvur will be, I didn't do anything wrong. Now that shvur is still intact. I trust you, Mishur, not the other guy. There's no question. Right? There's no question at all. As Rashi explains, and let's see Rashi. Rashi didchu the time of the shemesh shemosel the chayim mishu ain't tzoni ikilesu bilahi. Because you're asking, I'm not supposed to give somebody else. Look at Kafkol Shinoye. I don't have the question at all. Did I believe time mishu the lame yemel bishvur? Like no question. The Seicha will do a shvur. In our case, in our mission, we're talking about the Seicha does a shvur. So according to Rashi, the Ramban learns a little differently in the Sukkah, but Rashi learns, in our mission, the Seicha does a shvur. And die naturally, there's no reason to think the Seicha relies on the Shoyel. The Shoyel tells him to die naturally, he believes him, he does a shvur. I did everything I can, I give it to a person who's responsible, I gave you a shvur. So according to Rava, the question doesn't begin, because as long as the Seicha does a shvur, so there's no claim, I don't trust you b'shvur. You gave me the animal, I'm giving you a shvur, die naturally, now you can't come and claim anything, so for the owner, you got your shvur. So the question doesn't begin over there, so the question doesn't start, so you don't have to get to this answer. Metzia Where I ask a question, now Rabbi asks a question. He put it up into a high mountain, right? Into a cliff. And she died, and she fell. That's a pshia. You put it up there and it fell. You have. If it died naturally, according to Abai, we say maybe, who knows, maybe the air of the valley killed her. So maybe the air of the mountain killed her. Or maybe the upzo means the tiredness, that she had to climb up and hike up the mountain, killed her. So we talk about went to a paradise of animals. The beautiful, beautiful field. It was the best place to go to. You can't say that it was a bad place for her. It was the best place for animals to be. It's a mountain that has the best mirror. So yeah, maybe what about the air? The air is the best. Uftzada, you go there, you rest right away. The Gemara says we're not chosh to that over there. So we actually if it fell, what do you want from it? I'd rather brought to the best place for the animal. So should hold on to it, not letting it fall. He's responsible. You took the high place, even though it's good for the animal, but now you're responsible for it not to fall. Look at the beginning. Also, it went on its own to the top of the mountain. Why didn't you hold on to it? Talk about, that's what Tais explains about Richus. Talk about here that if she went on her own, it means she went on her own, she got wild and left the owner. That's what it means, also Maxwell. The shaman had no control of the animal. She ran up to the mountain and fell down. That's highness. But he himself brought her up. That means he's still in control of her. So control of her, he needs to make her not fall. Tais goes on to explain what would be according to Mandoma, that according to Rava. Because according to Rava, you could say very simple. We're talking about that the Reisha speaks about also that it jumped on its own. So that's why it's going to be that is higher. That's why he's potter. Right. And so according to Rava, you don't have to get to mirror Shalom the type. You just say you brought it up to that place and it fell. You're chayav. It went on its own. You're not chayav. You didn't do anything wrong. You brought it up to that place, and if it died naturally, you potter. Why you potter? You potter because as Rava Svar. So according to Rava, the Bryce is understood. The question was according to Abai. I have to say there's a difference between the Reisha and the Seifo. The Reisha, it jumped on its own, and therefore it jumped, and the owner had the Shem had control. That's why he's responsible. And the Seifo, you have to say that it went on its own, and therefore he had no control. Okay, we will stop over here. Be'ez Hashem will continue from the 2 dots in the next half.